everyone. This is Troy Small with the Government Contracting Officer Review. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about the DoD, the Department of Defense. Now, the purpose of this video is to kind of give an overview of the Department of Defense as it relates to government contracting and acquisition, really for the purpose of trying to help you to improve your targeting and your business development efforts. Now, what I mean by that is, making sure that you're not wasting your efforts chasing potential work in an organization that may not be in a position to buy what you're selling. What's better would be that you do a little research prior to and find those organizations that do, in fact, purchase what you sell, whether that be a product or a service, and then drive your marketing and business development efforts towards those organizations. Now, I chose this organization chart because it's kind of simple, but one of the things that I do want to point out is in most cases when someone says Department of Defense, most folks, they immediately think of the military. And yes, that is true. The military is, of course, a part of the Department of Defense, but there are other agencies as well that are associated. Now, I wanted to start with this slide because it's a little bit easier to read, a little bit simpler. And this basically just outlines, how the DoD is organized. Now, the Army, you have the Department of the Army, which consists of the U.S. Army. And the Army also has the Army National Guard as a part of it. And the interesting thing about the National Guard is they also have leadership in their individual states. So they're kind of dual-hatted as it reports to leadership. The Department of the Navy, they have the U.S. Navy, and many folks don't realize this as well, is that the United States Marine Corps is a component of the Department of the Navy. So the Marine Corps is not a service in and of itself all alone, like, for instance, the Army is. It is actually a part of the Navy, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps ultimately reports to the Secretary of the Navy. And so that's an interesting, just tidbit there. So like, if you weren't aware of that, like, as an example, if you're trying to sell to the United States Marine Corps, and I was a former Marine Corps contracting officer, and I'm also a retired Marine with 20 years of service and a former drill instructor as well. So I like to add, but let's say if you're selling to the Marine Corps and, you fail to realize that there are Navy regulations in place that apply to the Marines. If you miss that, right, that could be a critical error on your behalf in your capture efforts, right? Because, you just missed a procedural, structural, issue, if you will, something that's kind of static, in the sense that just being aware of how the hierarchies are and also what the roles of each organizations are will help you in your efforts, because like the Navy has a totally different and distinctly different role than the Army, which has a distinctly different role from the Air Force, as an example. The Air Force has, the Air Force and also Space Force. Another reason why I use this slide is because it had the Space Force represented on it. And so here we go. And then one thing that's not showing here is we also have the Air National Guard. So the Air National Guard falls under the Air Force, but it is similar to the Army National Guard in that it is also has leadership based in its home state. So it has, it has a federal leadership through the military, right, and up to the Secretary of Defense, up to the president, but it also has a state leadership in place through the state leadership hierarchy, right? So interesting point there, meaning that, so like the guards, I'm not, haven't done a lot of work with the guards. I've seen their procurements and what have you, but they may procure under state procurement authority, or they may procure under federal procurement authority. So this is a great point to highlight, in that, if you're looking in the wrong spot, you may not ever see anything. They may be playing in a totally different playground, and you're in the wrong playground, and no one's coming. So so great point there, in the sense that even the leadership and where they get their funding authority, it may have an effect on where they're buying their supplies and services from, which of course may have an effect on how you market to the government and try to sell your supplies and services. And then of course, over here, we have the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And interesting enough, all of these combatant commands, they actually fall under the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They don't actually fall under the departments. So they have a separate, hierarchy as far as leadership. Now, one of the points I did want to use this slide for is, so notice how we have these different defense agencies here on the left, or the left of the, or here on the left of the screen. So, for instance, Defense Commissary Agency. So they do buying in and of it by themselves. They have their own buying activities. They go out and do procurements by themselves. So like, for instance, if you're into, selling different things that supermarkets and stores and things like that may need, then that may be an agency that you should be targeting, right? If you, for instance, if you sell refrigeration equipment or something like that. Now, Defense Contract Management Agency. Now, these are the folks you're probably not going to sell to them. These are the folks that are going to come in and make sure that the contracts are running right. So you're not selling to you. What you're selling to them is that you're doing a good job on your contract, right? You're not selling any services or supplies to them. So these are the folks that actually help to ensure that these super big major contracts are being ran in accordance with the terms and conditions of the contract. And so because they're so large, what ends up happening is DCMA is involved, along with probably you're going to have a ACO, which is an administrative contracting officer, as opposed to a PCO, which is a procuring contracting officer. The administrating contracting officer is there because it's just such a big contract, and there's just a consistent volume of modifications after award, right? Because there's just so much going on, and it requires a totally separate contracting officer, to manage that function. Because, generally speaking, as contracting officers, and when, they are actually in that role serving, it's a pretty intense job, and you're needed for everything. And so not to go down that rabbit hole. But one other thing, just a couple others to point out. If you notice here, you have DLA is here, Defense Logistics Agency. So, and DLA buys a lot of stuff. That's like the logistics chain. So, once again, what I'm trying to point out here is that it would be really helpful for you, those folks who are trying to procure, contracts through DoD, and they're kind of new at it, is to align what you're selling, or more importantly, align the agency's mission with what you're selling. If they are doing a lot of logistics type of stuff and you're selling logistical type of supplies, then of course DLA is one of the agencies you should be looking at, in addition to maybe the military services as well, right? So the point of today's video is just to kind of align your your services and your products, the characteristics of your business function, align that to the characteristics of these organizations, because the whole goal here is to, provide your products and services to someone who has a need. If you can meet their need, then everyone's happy. All right. So once again, this is Troy Small, government contracting consultant. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.